Perspective is a student podcast within the Expo Design team at Nottingham Trent University. We'll be covering topics surrounding the world of design and offering our student experience. I'm Angelos, and today with me we have...
I'm Ellen.
And I'm Tomi.
We'll be talking about social media for creatives and designers today in our first episode. So if you're a student, applying what you're learning within a particular niche and putting your work out there can be nerve-wracking, but it's such a great opportunity to learn from others and get feedback and ultimately improve. Instagram is one example as a platform that billions of people are on with an active design community, so it seems a no-brainer to put your work out there. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on putting your work out there online and interacting with the design community and just being yourself?
I think it's a necessity, but I don't think it's as easy as everyone says. Or maybe it is easy. Maybe it's just I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's a platform that I don't want to say we didn't have before because we weren't born, but we haven't had for such a long time and utilized it as designers. Like obviously when Instagram and stuff like that started, it was just a place to share images of having fun with your friends. So I think now that the growth has been, it's a place where businesses come together, employees and employers come together. It's a nice environment. I also think the design community on Instagram is pretty good.
I wonder when it became popular for designers though.
That's a good...
Like,
It's always been a visual thing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but to be fair, it's probably made for creatives more than like personal stuff. But when did Instagram when was it founded? Like 2010? I mean, my account starts in 2011.
You're pretty early.
So I'm an OG on there.
Wait, how old were you in 2000?
Yeah, my first picture's in year 6. I know, and I've not deleted it.
So can you go back and see those old pictures?
Yeah, and like several of my friends think it's like the funnest thing in the world.
Are they still? So they're still.
Oh yeah. You can go down.
Okay.
I've got like 1,000 posts, and you can scroll down to 12-year-old me.
So that's your personal account, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, my I wasn't designing at 11.
That's what can be cool, because if you did have a design account for the past 10 years, you could look back at where you were 10 years ago.
But
That's
I'd like
pretty
to
substantial.
think that I will for the next 10 years, because mine started in 2018. That's when my first post is, and it's just I don't know if you remember, but we had to go out and take photos. Of like random
circles
things.
and lines and.
So I think if someone looked down my first post, they'd be like, "What the hell does that mean?" It's just like a picture of some leaves on the ground. But yeah, mine's only 3 years old, but I've only got like 30 posts on there.
Yeah, I think most designers that I know at uni only created their design account when they came to uni.
Yeah, I'd never thought about it before.
Yeah, so I'm like, was there a design community that we just never really tapped into in sixth form or college or doing before uni? I'm thinking that could have potentially helped us envision what product design was more. Because I think a lot of us came into product design not knowing what it was. It was just like, we'll just hear, it looks nice. We went for the open day and like, you know what, I like the vibes, I like the final product. But we didn't actually know what it entailed. And I think now social media is a perfect tool for people who don't know what product design is. And they're thinking, what do product designers do? And I'm like, just find a product design social media account.
But it must have been there, because I don't know if you've looked down the NTUDI page, but that's been running since like 2014. Yeah. So people must have been doing it, but I doubt that it was the same level of community as it is now.
Yeah.
There's so many different things you could potentially do as well online. So you say look at like a design page, but there's design pages for so many different niches.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So it can help you sort of establish what do you want to do specifically, because it's good to specialize in one particular thing. And get better specifically at that.
Yeah, but then do you think, as we've mentioned before, do you think that just restricts you?
Yes, it can. It can restrict you.
As we heard last week in our lecture. Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, you've got to have a balance, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to know what you want to do, and what you want to improve on specifically, but equally it has to be broad enough that you've got a wider range of skills. It's not just one thing that you can do.
I definitely think we should treat design kind of how like medicine is done. You kind of have to study the overall. Like I feel like we as designers, it's cool to specialize, but I think initially when you're going out into the field, like when we leave and we graduate, and it'd be cool to go out and test all waters and figure out what we definitely don't want to do, which is what I think placement is really good for as well. You find out, especially if you go into a placement that you hate, you're like, okay, we're not doing that. And then obviously if you go into graduate and go into something else, now you know what it's good for. And I think social media is a perfect contact to like oh, you want to do trend research? Here is
Mm.
a social media account or a person behind a social media account who does trend research as a specialty. And it's like, okay, I'm looking to do this. How can I do this? And I'm thinking that's stuff we wouldn't have had if we didn't have social media. Almost that easy connect to just send a DM and be like,
Yeah.
I am, and I'm studying at.
Do you do that much?
No, I have done it before, and
Did they reply?
no.
You tried.
I know. But you have to imagine they're probably
Yeah.
getting loads of DMs every day.
Well, you know, Matt on our course,
Mm.
he DM'd a photographer. He's doing photography for his project. 3.2 mil followers, and he
Yeah.
replied.
That's nice. I feel like
I was
some
like, how
people
on
just
earth? Yeah, that's insane. How you got in touch with you might as well try, because what's
Yeah.
the worst thing? They don't respond. That's it.
Yeah. And I think even across creative, because one thing I really found was in when I wanted to find an illustrator, because I really like illustrations and paintings. Instagram was the perfect tool because I can see their portfolio
Yeah.
and I can just go, okay, and they put up their prices and I already know I'm going to DM you and I'm knowing it's going to cost me like £100 to get your services. And I think that's also really cool about social media, the fact that it's a nice balance between being a creative and also making money as a creative. So obviously with our freelance lecture, I think it was really cool that a lot of, or he said that he had gained employment from social media, and it's like it's both an expression and portfolio.
Yeah, platform to get money.
Yeah.
Did you not make your own logo then? Did you hire someone for your company?
No, we did everything in house. So I work with someone else, and perfect team. So what I can't do, she can do. When she can't do, I can do.
Perfect
So
duo.
I know. So it's like she did the logo. We'll talk about everything, but we both know our strengths lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, social media was again for our business a platform to get feedback, because I know you mentioned that earlier. Because it was nice to be able to put our sketches out there and say these are the ideas we're working on. Someone could message us and be like, "Oh, I really like top left," or we post our samples and people like, you know what, I would buy that. And for a creative, I think social media is very good at confirmation bias too, because it's like you're surrounded by your people, especially. So it's like you like something, there's a probability that 80% of the people you're following like the same thing too.
Yeah.
So it's like it could be whack, but
Did you use stories for that? Because I've looked down your page and I didn't see any of like that initial stuff. So is that still on there?
Yeah, so we tried to put some in highlights. I mean, it had to be there.
Yeah, but was it clearly? I've caught on too late, clearly. But that's another point. Is like, I think Instagram gives you a good balance between permanent stuff and then stuff that disappears.
Temporary,
and
yeah.
like you say, you might not want to put out those sketches so that they're really obvious forever.
Yeah.
But having them in a story, you can. There's no sign of them after 24 hours, or you can choose to keep them in a highlight.
Yeah.
And I think that's another benefit is that, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely think there are some things that are suited to stories more than main posts. But I'm actually a big advocate for those people who just do like photo dumps of I love it. I love the randomness. I love the kind of just posting whatever.
I feel like it's storytelling. It's almost, especially when you do a photo dump and the caption is like photo dump of February. And
I love it.
See what, even if it's personal or your business or your design account, you almost see what a designer has gone through. And it's like the roughest of all sketches, because I feel like we're not precious when we do dumps.
That's what I mean. I think we should promote not being so precious over, because social media is just like another, because it's just a place to share something.
Yeah.
I think we should stop being so precious over it and just post. I mean, that's really ironic coming from me, because that's the complete opposite. But I rate it. I rate just being less perfect with it.
Definitely. Yeah. And I also think that you were talking about the temporariness
of stories.
Of stories. I think that is also a good thing to utilize, because when you make your portfolio, you're not going to go back and delete a whole section of it because you decide 4 weeks down the line, actually that's not what I want to represent myself as. Whereas I think using Instagram as a mini portfolio and your story showing your process, what you can do is like archive a post and be like, okay, I don't want to show
that's
this
not
right
me
now
anymore.
Without necessarily losing whatever insights you got on that post, which I think is where I would prefer using Instagram as a portfolio over like a traditional, put together like an A3 sheet.
Behance.
No shade to
So-
Behance though.
Instagram is like a great way to put your work out there and get all the feedback that comes with putting yourself online.
Yeah.
But equally, you can go and sort of curate that after the fact, after you've sort of figured out what you want
I've
to
never
do.
thought about it like that.
So like you say, you can dump stuff on there, but then go through and just
Well,
take
kind of
things
tailor
out
it to what. Because
yeah.
also, if you're going for a job, I don't know, that's like a certain niche, you're going to go and tailor, like you tailor your portfolio, your CV.
Yeah.
You can tailor your Instagram. Be
Yeah.
like, these, this is my top stuff. If I'm going to go and do renders for a living, I want to show off this. Whereas something else, you can kind of take that, but you're not losing it because it's not deleted.
Yeah. Do you think you could use TikTok as a portfolio?
Potentially.
I don't know though, because the thing about TikTok is the algorithm. Things just disappear. Once you see, isn't it something like if your TikTok doesn't appear in the first week, it's not going to appear on anyone's page.
No. I've had posts where it's like for the first couple of days, it was like 200 views. And then over the next 2 weeks, it's gone to 5,000 views. Yeah.
Famous. I didn't know this.
Light work. No, but I think it is just like, I think the more people who keep liking it, the more, it doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks in. If in the next 2 weeks,
it just
10
boosts
people,
it, builds there.
It boosts it. So do you think as designers, we're almost like closed? We should open.
I think
TikTok?
it's going to take other people doing it because I think right there now, there's not the community.
Why don't you
So I
build
don't
the
think-
community?
That's what I mean. It would take people being like the founders of that and being like, I'm going to do this. And then I think other people will follow. I think it is inevitable, though, that it will because TikTok has taken over. It's
the world.
It's taken over everything. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go anywhere soon.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I wouldn't know what to put on TikTok. What would I make?
I
don't
do
know.
see a
There's all
lot of
sorts of creative things you could put on
Like I
TikTok.
see
Yeah.
people's little like sketching videos or like
It's just whatever
little
you
vlogs
put
or
on
something.
reels, you just put it on TikTok.
yeah. I've never
Vice
made a
versa.
reel.
You've never made
No,
a reel
ever. On personal or whatever.
You're losing out. A
But
reel
that's
is
something
a
I don't
perfect
know.
dump. I think if you want to show like 12 pictures and you don't necessarily want to be precious with each image,
Yeah.
put 12 photos together, put music over it, put it on a reel.
And you do that.
Yeah, you can.
But shouldn't we look at each platform as like it has its own unique strengths and weaknesses? So say
Yeah.
TikTok, for example, might be more experimental. It might be, I see it as more of a fun
It's like
space to sort
trends,
of
isn't it,
try
as well?
things
You
out,
could-
trendy,
Yeah.
But whereas Instagram might be more portfolio, more sort of
Definitely.
permanent, and LinkedIn is even more professional if you're going up
I
Yeah.
in
don't think
stages.
Instagram's professional.
It's not
at all,
professional,
though.
I don't think. It's a good blend between the professional
Mm.
LinkedIn
Yeah.
and the fun sort of
TikTok.
quick form TikTok.
Yeah.
I love
think.
LinkedIn. And I know someone said the other day that they hated it. I think it's so good. But I don't know, maybe that's because I'm not in the real world yet and I don't know how useful it actually is.
What world are you in?
The student world, the not real job world. I don't know, like, because I've not tried to get a job through it yet.
Yeah.
I don't know how successful it is or if it's actually, are our employees on Instagram?
Yeah.
Maybe they're more there than they are on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think I've seen like a bunch of businesses that I've personally worked with. Like they have their Instagrams. It might not be a successful Instagram yet, but it's definitely businesses are aware like at the power of Instagram. I think I was looking at it the other day and I think Instagram has like over 1 billion monthly users. So it's like that's a lot of people.
Yeah, someone's going to give me a job, hopefully. One of them. Yeah.
So it's like how do you like almost dig through the fluff of 1 billion users? You get what I mean? How
do you find
how
the,
do you-
Hashtags.
the community that speaks to
Yeah.
you?
And also-
Hashtags, yeah.
Just following accounts,
Yeah.
finding accounts and following them.
But how do you as a designer stand out against that many people?
Just being good, I think. I think that's what's
But
hard.
that,
It's
that
like,
comes with time, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
you start off and you might think to yourself, well, what I'm putting out isn't very good, but people might criticize you, might make changes based on what they've said, and slowly you'll improve. And then
But what if you don't, do you think you can only be successful if you improve? Do you think there's only so much consistency you can do and actually you just need to be really good at something?
Nah, because I think as designers, and I know our talents, like our skills, whatever, counts a lot. But I think as designers, it's what's in here. Like whether or not you can sketch, you can be the best designers in the world and you might not be able to sketch your ideas out.
Yeah.
Because there are people who are gifted in sketching and you can talk your ideas through them and they can sketch it out for you. I don't think as designers necessarily, which is why I think Instagram falls short. Because if your process is about research, how do you
how do you
almost share that?
portray that
Yeah.
to
It's
everyone
not like-
else?
You don't think of it as very visual, do you? So
Yeah.
maybe it's not good for sharing on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some things where you're right. The thought behind it may not be very good, but then you do some amazing CAD and
Yeah.
it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas there's other things where the thought behind, if you could see how much work I've gone into this, you'd be really impressed. But then
Yeah.
maybe like an app or something, you'd be like, oh, that's just like an app mock-up. Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. But
That's
then
the argument with social media, isn't it? Sometimes that you go on and it's just these well, you
yeah,
know, fully finished projects.
Yeah.
Nice renders.
you don't know what's gone
flashy
behind that.
imagery. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
don't necessarily know.
Yeah, you
the
don't know
depth
if there
of
was
the
a need
project.
for that. You know,
Yeah.
you don't know what grade they got. You don't know anything, but
Definitely.
you just think, oh, cool, nice background.
Yeah. And I think it's driven by likes. Just because it's visually appealing
Yeah,
means that a design that might not have necessarily taken someone a week to do versus someone a day to do, just because it's more visually appealing
Yeah.
for whoever's taking it shortest to do, they get more likes. And it feels like you're not successful because even though you've put in so many hours behind it.
completely. And you're completely right. It is just what looks the best, does the best. Because like you say, you have no idea how like backed up this is by research or how
Yeah.
how many hours have gone into that. So maybe if is it bad for people who are really not very good at the kind of finishing stuff? If you're not very good at renders or like physically portraying your work, will you
Yeah.
be less successful on social media?
I personally think so. I think there is
Yeah.
a natural bias as human beings to be attracted to the pretty, shiny
Yeah.
thing.
Mm.
So it's obviously something we can't take away. But I think, obviously, as designers, our job is to present everything we know in a visual way. So obviously, it can be up to the designers. Okay, you are doing trend research. How do you
Yeah.
post that? How do you share that with the people in the most visually appealing way that is competing with the best CAD renders out there? But it's like,
But can you compete though? If you work in like research and development, can you compete with someone who is really amazing at Keyshot?
Maybe it's not about
Maybe,
competing
yeah.
directly
But-
with them, but
No, but you know, how can you be as successful as someone
you-
who's just really good at the finishing stuff? Because
Yeah.
I always think that is what makes a good project
yeah,
a great project. I said this the other day. It's like advice to second years. It's like the branding, the renders, all of that kind of finishing stuff is
Yeah.
actually probably half of the whole project. Because if you can't portray what you've done in a really nice, easy to understand way, you're not going to do as well.
yeah. But I think that shouldn't be the case.
No, I agree.
I feel like you get to a point, especially in final year, and it's like, I know my process. My process stands alone by itself. I should get employed for my process alone.
but unless you can express that to
Portray
others,
that to other
how
people.
will they know?
Perfect
Yeah.
SolidWorks.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like, sometimes I'm like, designers aren't just visual beings. Like, we're thought creatures.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just, a design doesn't just, I mean, it pops into your head, but it pops
No,
into
but
your
it's
head.
hours of research
exactly.
and hours, you know, speaking to people, interviewing people. How do you ever show social media, which is just like, show this in 4 pictures,
But
Yeah.
there can be there's a space for that on the internet, I think, because like I was saying about the different
different platforms.
have different
Yeah.
strengths. If you're more of, you know, you like to write a lot of words, maybe LinkedIn's better. I'm not sure. if you like to just
Right.
post pictures, maybe Instagram's your thing.
Yeah.
But there's a space for everything, regardless of like what you're good at.
Do you think there's something that tops them all? If you had to rank the social medias importance, what would you put?
Instagram wins. I think
Think.
whether or not you're personal, your business, you're an
It just has a
employer,
big reach, doesn't it?
it just, yeah, it trumps. I think it has a little bit of everything. It has the ability to be completely formal. It has the ability
Yeah.
to be informal. It has the ability to toe the line perfectly in between.
And I think you can be successful in any of them, and that's what's interesting. Whereas I don't know if you could be successful on LinkedIn if you were really informal.
Yeah.
Whereas with Instagram, you can tailor that. If I want to be super professional, I can. And if, like you say, I want to blur the lines, I think I can be equally as successful at
Yeah.
both. Whereas I don't think you could, like, you know, whack on some like
Yeah.
half-hearted thing on LinkedIn and be like, I've done it. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get so many likes.
How would you define success though on the thinking the same
Reach.
thing?
I was thinking the same thing.
How would you define success on a social media platform?
I'd
if you
like to
put
say
your work
like
out there?
internally, you know, but it's not.
It's the
It's
numbers.
likes,
Like,
likes,
yeah,
follows.
are you going for numbers? Are you going for that one person to see
It's-
it that wants to offer you a job?
It's also who sees it though.
Yeah.
Because like I know that like a lot of my friends at uni follow my accounts that wouldn't mean as much as a top designer liking it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if you've got 50 people. If that one person who's kind of you see as above likes it, I think that does mean more.
Yeah, I know, but the probability of the person you need to see it seeing it is based on how many likes you get, which is, again, I think we go back to, we're now entering the world of social currency for designers, is a designer who isn't earning as much but has way more followers richer than a designer who's earning more in real life but doesn't really use social media.
Well, can you be successful without social media as a designer?
Steve Jobs.
Do you think you have to work? Do you think you have to work harder? Like, where would you go if you were like, I'm anti-social media, but I want to be a designer? What would you do?
You gotta do a lot of legwork. That's a lot of grafting.
Word of mouth,
yeah,
perhaps. I'm not sure.
Well, they must have done it 30 years ago.
Yeah,
so I'm
because
sure they
now
can.
it seems sort of, why would you not go to social media to put your stuff out there? But you can.
Yeah.
Well, you must have. Like, how would of our lecturers got jobs?
I know, but social media is very toxic.
I
know, like, it's great and I love it. I'm a big fan, but over January I had to take a month off and I had to be like, I literally had to take a month off.
I had a year off. Deleted it.
Because at some point it's like there's a lot, like there's like we can be strong as individuals, but comparison is literally the killer of all great ideas. Because you're thinking this is a great idea up until you go on Instagram, or up until you go on Behance, or up until you go on Pinterest. Like, oh wow, someone's done it and they've done it better. But meanwhile, your idea could be better. You just haven't even expressed it yet, but you already feel like it's not sufficient.
Oh, yeah. Can I confess something? So I showed you this. I had a follow request the other day from someone pretty high up in the, like, they had like 20k followers, like senior designer. And I went and oh God, I hope they don't see this. I went and archived loads of my old posts. I thought, I don't want someone really good. Like, that comparison, like, why on earth would you want to see me when you're so good? And did I give in? Should I not have done that? I went and archived loads of old things and then accepted it. Is that really wrong?
Yeah, I feel like we are trying to, social media is about presenting your best self, but I feel like we also think our best self has to be perfect. And it doesn't. Because I think imperfection is what makes our best self us. Because if we were all drawing the same way, or we're all tidying up the same way, there would be no point in like trying to decipher what designers to hire. But
then there's that like imposter syndrome of being like, I don't think I'm, you know, you've tried to follow me and now I don't think I'm good enough, so I'm going to go and hide all that stuff. Isn't that wrong? Because, but then when we see who is successful, they do all kind of work in the same way. They all draw the same. They all render the same. So how are we not meant to think that that's the only way to be successful when you look at the top accounts and they are all doing the same thing?
I think I had that almost, I want to say, lightning bolt moment in second year, because no shade to like the way we're taught at uni, but we're taught in a very like a way where we're all going to come out exactly looking the same if we all followed the same path, right? We're all taught to sketch, you know, do the lines, which is fine and perfect. The people who can do it.
Yeah, but not everyone works that way.
But I can't do that. First of all, I feel like sketching really big just waste my time. Like, why?
I know what you mean.
Because I'm like, by the time I've done like 10 strokes, in my head I'm thinking I could have done 10 little iterations of that drawing, and that's my sketching style. And so like in second year, like a lot of my feedback was draw bigger. I'm like, why do I have to draw bigger?
Yeah, if you're doing the job, why does it matter what it looks like?
Exactly.
The thought process is there.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like we're almost forced to conform, and I'm like, we shouldn't have to. Like the people who sketch really well and sketch the almost, I want to say, the socially accepted way, which is the lines,
popular,
that's good for you, and I admire that. But again, if I can't do it, why should I be pushed into that box of doing that?
So do you think social media is good because it allows you to just post your version of everything?
Yeah, but it also means that I'm then looking at other people who can sketch that well, and it's
comparing
like,
yourself.
My sketches are like usually this big, right? And it's done.
So funny.
I'm not precious with it because I'm like, I don't have to be. I don't think my design process is necessarily in the iteration. I think most of my design thought and thinking is in my research.
Same. I'm so research driven.
You compare yourself to others based on like what's the norm.
Yeah.
And then you're going to spend like 10-15 minutes doing one sketch to look like that when I could have done 3 pages in my own version.
You could have been more efficient.
But then I'm like, well, I'm not going to post that on Instagram, whereas I might be able to post this on Instagram. but then it's, you know, hindered my project, it's hindered my time,
It's
and I
hindered
don't
your
feel good
process
about
as
it because
well.
it's also just not how I like to do it. I completely agree with you. I'm the exact same.
Do you think we also fake stuff for social media as designers?
Well, didn't someone who said the other, even in our lecture earlier, being like, you know, when you take those pictures of you sketching, like you've set up a tripod, you've put lights on, like you've got your best page out, like it's not real.
It's I know, and it goes back to the fact that then as designers we're seeing other people doing that. Like I think it was you who said it, like waking up at 7 a.m. sketching.
Oh yeah, it's like,
You know,
The thing is, it is real, but at the same time, it's not.
but it's
Because
like
you've done the work, you've done the sketches, you've done the model.
but have you
made
only
models.
done it for social media?
Well, that's
But
I
like-
think that's another argument entirely. But say you set up a tripod and lay out your sketches nicely, and you've got your models there, and you've got your hand, like as if that's how you work.
Yeah, all the
That
time.
might be fabricated. You might have created all of that stuff in a
with a
mess,
candle on.
but you collate it together in such a way, and then you take a picture of it, and it looks as if you've been working like that, and you haven't. But you
But-
have done the work. It
But
is
you
there.
have done it, you're
Yeah.
right. But like this morning, I had a complete freak morning where I got up at 6 and did an hour of dissertation. If I go and then post that and being like, just write my dissertation this morning, convincing everyone that's what I do every day.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No.
Like, and that's what I mean. You're right. It's the truth, but are we generalizing the truth too much?
Yeah.
Is this really how you work all the time, or is it more like, you know, you're sat in your pajamas, you know, probably feeling really
Yeah.
anxious and nervous about the deadlines, and you're just getting it done?
Yeah.
So it is the truth, but I think we filter it too much to be like, if I now posted 6 a.m, just, you know, just writing my intro.
Maybe Twitter is good for something like that, or you just want to put your thoughts out there.
Yeah,
Quick
that's what I
thoughts.
mean. I think it's reality, but I think it's filtered reality.
Yeah, because I think one thing about like magazines is that there's almost the understanding that this is a photo shoot, whereas social media doesn't have
Yeah,
that.
you don't have to
Mm.
tell anyone that this was a setup.
You
But
don't
more
have,
and more people are sort of, I think, cottoning on to the fact that not everything you see on social media is 100% truth. Like there is an element that
But I feel like we all know that, but we still, part of us feels rubbish about it.
yeah.
We all know that none of this is real, but even now we're saying, we're all admitting, yeah, of course we don't believe these things, but we still have the kind of imposter syndrome. Why would we have that if we were fully convinced that's not real?
Yeah. I think
Mhm.
I was watching a documentary about social media, and there was a guy who was saying like we as humans haven't developed to tell ourselves, like we understand it's not real, but our brains can't really distinguish anymore sometimes. Like our conscious is
Mm.
like, oh, that's not real, but our subconscious is like everything is just information
Oh,
going
that's
to
so
us.
scary.
And it's like, because you know, in your conscious, you know, this is not real. This is not everyone doesn't wake up
Yeah.
and sketch.
Not everyone looks like this, acts like this. I know that,
but somehow,
but I don't. But I don't know that.
somehow you're still
Uh.
comparing your workload to them, or even just the success of being a student versus someone who's possibly the same age and has graduated. It's like, how do you compare your student profile to someone who's been doing this in the game
Full
for-
time, you know.
It's just it's a never
It's not a fair comparison, is it?
no.
think.
But your brain doesn't. It knows it, but it doesn't know it. But it knows it,
But it doesn't know it. Yeah.
And it's always such a crazy loop to keep going back and forth in.
Mm. What do you think about staying consistent if you want to improve?
Everyone says consistency is key.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. And
Yeah,
I think we
I-
should
I-
change that from perfect.
Yes.
Like practice just makes you
Better.
like,
Improve.
yeah,
Practice helps.
Improve?
yeah.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
little bit helps, but why are we striving perfection for perfection?
But I think it is hard as students to be consistent at things, because I can't be consistently improving at CAD when I only have one. Realistically, with my workload, I've got one chance a project. So I've
Yeah.
got 2 chances this year to improve at CAD. That's not really consistency.
No,
I think
know.
you can only get consistent at something if you've got the time to be consistent.
Mm.
And I think as a student, it's not realistic to expect that you're going to be constantly getting better at everything all the time, because, you know, we only get 2 chances at doing research and 2 chances at doing drawing, you know,
Yeah.
in our final year.
Yeah.
How am I meant to go from like not being able to open SolidWorks to like, you know, smashing out this in 2
Yeah.
chances?
Yeah.
You can set aside more time to do those things and to improve, but realistically, like you say,
It's hard.
there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
And-
Especially when you take on other things like this and, you know, life.
Yeah. And I just think even like pushing just consistency, it's very hard to stay consistent in something you don't like. Like I know as designers,
Yeah.
we're meant to love all aspects of design. We're meant to be fluid. You just go from research to sketching to concept development, and then you go to your
Not
final.
like that.
It's not like that. We all have our favorite parts. We all have parts that were like, okay, like some
This
people
is
are
my
like,
thing.
I don't want to do research. They do like first 20 pages and they're like, I love sketching. Let's just iterate, right? And other people want to spend like 7 weeks on research and like 2 weeks on CAD. And other people just do, like, they would blow your mind with what they can do with CAD. Like you walk into a space and what you've been trying to do a extruded square in the last 30 minutes.
Look what they made.
Someone else has done it. And I'm like, we have the understanding that we should all love all aspects. I'm like, we can't. It's impossible for all of us to be good, equally good at all aspects, but we're expected to be. And that's, again, trippy about social media too, because you're expected to, especially if you don't have a niche, to almost be good at everything. It's like, if you can draw, you should be able to draw everything. I'm like,
yeah. I mean, do you find that with your account? Like, if there must be some kind of things that your drawing style's not suited to. And then would you rather not post that because you're like, oh, I'll just keep posting what I'm good at, rather than challenge yourself and be like, I'm going to post something that I'm not very good at and face the criticism? Or do you think just keep the people happy, keep going with what I'm good at? Because then you're not really improving.
whoa.
You're not improving. I mean, one... Sorry.
No.
I mean, one doesn't improve when...
It's true, because when you're putting yourself out there online and you want to sort of garner a following, you have to do something that the audience will expect and that they're familiar with.
And that you're good at, is going to get the likes.
So it's got to be familiar, but equally it's got to also be new. So perhaps it's the same style, but a different subject that you're drawing, say. Or you focus specifically on renders, but you're rendering different objects. It's not, you're not doing exactly the same thing again and again and again. So it's familiar, but it's also different. I think the issue is when, like you say, you can get too closed in on that niche and then you restrict yourself from doing other things and then perhaps being true to yourself. Maybe you want to try other things, but you feel locked in.
And it would upset you if you suddenly saw a massive drop in your engagement online. There's only so much you can convince yourself, this is fine, this is what I want to do. Now we all we get a buzz of you get like a hit of dopamine with likes. And if you were to suddenly stop doing that, I think it takes a big person to completely ignore what does well and do what they love. Because I saw someone say, who was it on? Oh, it was when we spoke to Sam last week, but I've also heard someone else say it on YouTube about doing 2 for the audience, 1 for you. 2 for the audience, 1 for you. With social media, it's like you do 2 things, you keep them happy, what they like, what does well.
Got you started.
And then that gives you enough to be like, if I want to put something out that I like, but I know won't do very well, I think it hurts less because you've already got, oh, no, I am good. People do like me. So even if this video doesn't do as well, it doesn't completely knock your confidence because, you know that you've got that pattern where, no, people do like listening to me.
Yeah, but I think like Instagram is just a reflection of almost how we've been raised in sort of not just designers, but like education system. It's just like, oh, you did really well. Here's a gold star. Oh, you did.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just...
Here's 100 likes. Good job.
So it's like they've just... They just converted what you feel is your reward for doing well. And I think for Instagram, our reward for doing well, we love rewards as humans. Like, if you're telling me I'm going to get a gold star as an adult, especially a gold sticker, like whenever I go to get my blood taken out, they give me a little sticker. And I'm not sorry, but that is like... Great feeling. Like... I love it. So
that's
I'm like,
you want.
That's what everyone wants. And I think because social media, the only affirmation of you doing well is likes, it's the comments, it's the shares, it's the everything. That you can't disassociate them. You can't be like, we can't depend on likes because we have been built to depend on rewards.
What about recent features on various platforms like Instagram, like YouTube, where they've removed the dislike button on YouTube, and on Instagram they've removed the like counter? What do you think about stuff like that?
I think the dislike one's quite good actually, because I think you're still showing people's reactions to something without spreading negativity.
Yeah.
Because if you've got 100 likes on something, that still makes you feel good, but not everyone can see that you've got 10,000 dislikes. Yeah. I think that's actually quite a healthy way to look at it. But isn't it right on Instagram, you have to turn that feature on yourself? You know how it hides your likes?
Yeah, I remember getting a pop-up notification.
Oh, like, do you want to do it?
Yeah. And I clicked yes straight away because I'm like, I don't need to know how many likes a post is getting. I just like it because I like it. I don't need affirmation that 10,000 other people
So
also like the same post.
we've said this before, but I've completely forgotten. So if I turn it off, I can't see what likes everyone else is getting.
Yeah. So it will just say,
Or is it that other people can't see what I'm getting?
I think you're controlling your account.
Yeah, I think it is yours, because when I scroll down now, it's like some people do, some people don't.
Yeah. So
you have to turn it on for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is, I think, is a positive way to look at it. But I feel like, again, like, even if you turn off the like counter, when you get likes, you see the number, you see it in your notification thing. And it's like, I think some of us, whether or not we post a picture, and instead of us just leave it and let it go, we're like,
no, it's like for the next 6 hours
you're like, you
can't stop yourself. It's so stupid.
And it's like, do you suggest turning off notifications for Instagram?
I have mine off, but I still do it. I go on the app and check, which is even worse.
Yeah.
Like,
that's counterintuitive.
I know. I don't think it stops the habit.
Yeah.
I think you have to do something else. Maybe for a long while I had Instagram, but I could only access it by the browser. And I found that was really good, because I'd only go on it once every like 2 months.
Make it hard for yourself to get onto it.
It would be like an active thought. I'd be like, I'm going to go on Instagram and search it. I had to log in. I had to like send a one-time passcode. Like, it was a whole thing to get in. So I never did it. Whereas now, even though I have it muted, I'm still logged into the account. I might log out of it and just have the NTU one.
Yeah.
I might do that.
I think for social media, the only recipe for almost growth and success is just trusting your source. Whatever you do, even if you don't get the likes you were thinking of, even if you don't blow up the way you thought after 5 years in the game, I should have that many followers.
Part of the journey.
It's just a lot of the great people that we look up to today, when they were doing the stuff they were doing, it was like, why are you doing that? Like, why was Steve Jobs thinking we needed touchscreen when we're so used to buttons? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like they focused on, this is my contribution to the world, and I want to focus on that. And I think if we all just trusted in what
your
makes
own
you, exactly, is different from we can look at the same project and analyze it completely differently. And I think as designers, that's what makes us unique. And that's why whatever post you're posting, whatever likes you're getting, it shouldn't affect you. It should, in a good world, in a perfect world, it shouldn't affect you. But I think we should always just remember, like, almost if you do, those affirmation apps, wake up, I'm a great designer.
I'm talented, I'm skilled.
I'm going to trust in the process. If you do all of that, I think there is a way to move and shift from comparison.
Yeah.
And now focusing on just you. So the only person...
Like an internal thing.
Yeah. You should be comparing yourself to just you. Am I better than I was last year? If that's a yes, that's success. That's growth. That's all we want. Am I going to be better in 5 years' time than I was 5 years before? Yes. That's growth. That's perfect. Do I have to be the same level of someone who's my age and who has the exact same education? No, you don't.
No.
Because different path journeys, different secondary school education, different access to tools, so many variables.
Different interests. Yeah.
Exactly. Affect how we as designers become designers, whether it's in product design, whether it's in fashion design, whatever you're doing. So many things go into your process that you just have to give yourself credit for, number one, for going through it. Because design takes a lot of work. Because I feel like people just think we just wake up. And it's like,
I wish.
Idea. And it's like your first idea, sometimes might not be your best idea, and you have to keep going over that. And you don't realize how crazy that is. Because normally when you want to dress up in the morning, it's like the same thing. You pick the first outfit, you're like, check it out.
Not sure about that.
You just keep on going. And by the time sometimes you end up wearing the same outfit that you picked first, and you've just gone through the whole process of chucking away. That's how the design process is sometimes.
You know the process, and so it doesn't really, you have to take away the validation from other people knowing it.
Definitely.
Because you're like, I know this, I'm proud of this, I've put the hours in, I think it's a good idea, and hopefully other people will.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to wrap up. You summed it up well.
Yeah.
Utilize the advantages of social media, but don't let it sort of have this negative impact.
Always internal validation over external, and don't let social media define that validation.
Just be the best you. Only you can be you, which is, I know.
And consistency is key.
Not always.
Okay,
so thank you for watching the first episode. And any final words before we end?
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Bye.
Bye.